Hello. Oh man. Welcome back to Golden Keys Life Coaching, y'all. So I was really struggling with this one today. Um I'm typically a very private person, okay? I don't like to live this life all out loud, and I'm not one of those attention whores per se. I actually don't really, I'm kind of uncomfortable with it. But the reason why I do what I do on here is because I'm called to it, you know. I struggled with doing it for a long, long time. I had to, my ancestors and my guides, I had to just be like, I've been gifted with the art of not giving a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay. But they've been on me. My ancestors been on me. It's time. But what prompted it was this dream I had last night, and it's kind of got me in a bit of a daze today because I'm trying to understand it. And when I have very intricate dreams like that, sometimes it can take years for me to understand certain dreams, So I did a video some time ago sharing a dream that I had. I struggle with that. Like, my spiritual community understands what I mean. Not religious community. I said my spiritual community. And forgive me if I'm not constantly looking at the camera because I'm sitting here by the water, just out in nature, trying to get my thoughts out. But my spiritual community understands what I mean. And there's a big difference between spirituality and religion. Most spiritual people, we're very different. We're loners. We don't have a lot of friends. We typically don't have a lot of love relationships because people don't understand us. They don't understand our calling. When you decide, all of us have a calling. We all have a purpose. Everybody does not choose to answer that calling though. But when you choose to answer your calling, from the universe, source, your ancestors, your guides, the Most High God, however you refer to your higher power, when you choose to answer that calling, you make a lot of sacrifices, and isolation is one of them. Because people that live a very 3D life, they don't understand you. They're not going to understand you. If anything, they're going to call you weird. They're going to try their best to humiliate you. You're going to be accused of being, doing black magic, all kind of stuff. The religious community will attempt to persecute you, if not kill you. Your family will try to do the same thing because they don't understand why you're like you are and they are like they are. Instead of people just finding their own greatness, finding their own gifts, because each of us have a gift that the other person does not. So I remember my mother, and I'm a preacher's kid. I'm a preacher's kid. Many people don't know that, but I am. I was rooted in the church. I was raised in the church. But it got to a point in my life after my mom passed away that, and forgive me if I become emotional, I'm talking about my mom, but I had to grow past that, right? And so I was being called out of organized religion into spirituality, and I'm grateful for it, and because I understand it. I'm glad, because religion is very restrictive. There's so much more. There's so much more. So when you answer that calling, it's you become very different. You have to live your life different. Okay. You cannot hang around the same people. You can't go to the same place. You can't do the same things. And that's just a sacrifice, sacrifice you make. But when you understand life cycles, reincarnation, karma, life purpose. I remember my mother was big on purpose. What is your purpose? Why are you here, April? That's what I want you to figure out. Why are you here? And I hadn't even thought about purpose until she came to me with that. And at the time that she came to me, I didn't really take it seriously. I didn't. I was, you know, in my late 20s still out here doing my thing. You know, I was just like, you know, whatever, Mom. All right. You know, I got back into church, did ministry, all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, I left out again, and I'm not going back. Because I understand something that a lot of people don't. And most of us spiritual people, we get it. And there's some people that'll never be called to understand or expand further than that. And that's okay. That's okay. You know, in this lifetime, though, I know what I'm supposed to do, where I'm supposed to be, and I'm going to do that. Okay. I was born into families with lots of generational curses. And I made a commitment, to myself, that I didn't want my children to go through certain things. You know, I don't want my grandchildren, when I start having grandchildren, to go through certain things. You know, I've been through some pretty tragic things. I've lost a lot of people, so I can detach easily. And so those losses kind of strengthen me in a way. You know, I know when to walk away. Because the people that I have lost, anybody else that walks away from me, it'll never hurt as bad as those people that I had to lose already. So, bye. You know. So anyway, so I had this dream. So, okay, wait a minute. Let me just, forgive me. Just let me get my thoughts together, because I'm all the way real. I don't, you know. But I've had dreams, really crazy dreams, and you know, spiritual dreams since I was a kid. You know, I was that child that they tried to shut up a lot, because I would say a lot of things that the adults around me didn't understand that a child was saying. Like, you too young. Like, how are you asking these kind of questions? And, you know, so I'm going to say 90% of the dreams that I have, I don't share with people. Because number one, most people live in an ego, you know, they're in their ego. So first of all, they don't believe you. They're not going to believe you. They're going to think you're crazy. Or they get upset because you know that. Like, well, why she know that, or why he know that and I don't know? You know, they in their ego. They, you know, they weird and stuff. So they actually will get mad at you for telling them something that could possibly save their life. You know, but that's just people, you know. And when you choose to answer a spiritual calling, you got to have thick skin for that, because people are going to talk. They're going to lie on you. They're going to make up all kinds of stories because they can't figure you out. But that's not why you're here. You're not here to be figured out. You're here to do what your ancestors and your guides are telling you to do. And you gotta, in your heart and in your mind, know when and when not to give a fuck. Okay? And you have to have your emotions in check. Okay? So anyway, I had this dream maybe in 2016. I can't explain to you right now what it was, because it's a lot. And I remember the year, because the dream was so out of this world, and I seen some things that I had never seen before. I seen some things that I know do not exist on this side. Okay, so you can't tell anybody. But there was one person. I had one good friend who's something like me, and I called her and I told her, and we was just like, the fuck is that? I was like, I don't know what that was, but honey, listen, it was something. I was being shown something. And she was like, yeah, like, she was like, you know, something just kind of went off through her. And so I never, you know, I've learned over the years to not mull over certain things or overthink certain things. When I don't understand a dream, I just let it go, because I know the answer will eventually come. And so that was in 2016. That's just how memorable this dream was. And I realized when the pandemic hit, that's what I was seeing. I saw the pandemic, the coronavirus. I saw it come. I saw everything. The period where, you know, the quarantine was really high. I seen it. That's what I was seeing, okay? And so that didn't happen till 2020, right? You know, I've seen people's deaths, and my mother was like that. She would wake up and tell me certain things, and then months or a couple years later, it'll happen. This person would die. She saw 9/11 when I was 12 years old. I will never forget how she was screaming in her room, and she explained to me what she saw in her dream, but it didn't even happen till I was 23. So it's just in my blood, you know what I'm saying? And most spiritual people, we come from certain bloodlines that do certain things, okay? So I come from a very long line of, if you were a religious person, you want to call it prophets, psychics, seers, whatever. I just call myself a spiritual person, seer, whatever. I see things, and I see them in my sleep, and it's getting to the point that now I'm starting to see them even when I'm awake. So after you go through a lot of tests and trials and tribulations and heartbreak through life, you know, your ancestors will test you with what they can trust you with. All right, God will test you with what they can trust you with. And when I became aware that Jesus is not a literal person, Christ is a level of consciousness. When I understood that, then I understood why the meaning when it says your life is hidden in Christ, because I went through something, attacks from the church, you know, because of certain things. And I remember that's what Christ had to go through. You know, the church killed him. So, but the dream, it didn't, so that dream in 2016 didn't actually come to fruition until 2020 when the coronavirus hit. And it all made sense. And what happened in the dream is still playing out right now. There's only what I saw going on with the food is happening right now as we speak. There's one more piece that I saw that has not really surfaced yet. So I'm still kind of just like watching, trying to keep myself and my family, my children safe and prepared. But there's something that's going to happen with the banking systems. That was the last thing that I saw. So if you keep all your money in the bank, my guys are saying don't say nothing. But there's something going on with the banking systems that's going to happen as well. My ancestors are saying no. So I woke up this morning kind of in a daze. I took off work today because it was just that deep what I saw. And I'm just like, what the fuck was that? Okay. So I still don't I feel like I understand it, but I'm not all the way clear. So I do not have clearance from my ancestors to speak on it in detail. And actually, wait, let me back up. The dream I had in 2016, which I later realized in 2020, it took 4 years for it to actually happen. I ended up sharing it with a couple people at work, you know, and they kind of just looked at me like, oh yeah, she's crazy. We know she's a little different. That's fine. That's fine. Because people will actually see what you're talking about, but they'll never tell you, okay, that what you said actually happened. Ego. That's fine. I don't care. Most spiritual people that can do this, we don't care. What we were supposed to do was get the message out. The rest of that our hands are clean. The rest of that ain't got nothing to do with us. So you can believe a person, you can or not. That's on you. You didn't got to come back and confirm nothing with nobody and let them know, because we already know. We know it's happened. Okay? Whether you come back and say something or not. We don't care. Because it wasn't our message to give in the first place. You know, that this kind of stuff, when it comes down to spiritual people, you know, 5D, 6D world type stuff, that's not ours. We don't own that, you know, so we don't care. As long as we say what we got to say, we did our job, that's it. But this dream I had last night, like I said, I still don't have full understanding, and I don't feel like it's nothing that's going to happen immediately, but it is in motion. But what I am going to say is, if anyone did not believe in martial law and that it is here and it's in the process of being activated, I'm going to ask you to rethink that. Okay? I'm going to just ask you to rethink that. Do your research on what martial law is. It's being framed as something else, but that's what it is. And when enough people can think it's one thing, and by the time they realize it truly is martial law, that's when it'll be in full effect. So don't get caught with your pants down and unprepared. But what I want to say is, you know, mothers, if you, or anybody, but especially women, if you, and I don't care what race you are, if you're a mother, you have children, or you're a young woman, you know, if you have a fear or any ill, or have had ill feelings towards guns, self-defense through weaponry, I'm going to ask that you reconsider that. Life changes. Change in life is inevitable, and you are allowed to change your mind. Especially when it's life or death, and you have to protect you and your kids. I used to be the kind of person where I hated guns. I thought they were, oh my God, it's so violent, you know. Right now, these babies got them. These teenagers got them. But as a mother, you do what you got to do. I want you to rethink that, ladies. There are safe ways to have weaponry in your home and in your person. Rethink that. Just rethink it. Rethink your values and your principles on guns, and self-defense through weaponry, because we're going to need it. Excuse me. I'm so glad I reevaluated my thinking towards that. But reprioritize things, because life is different. The new world order is here. The world already ended. I did a video about this. The karma's hitting. People are trying to run from their karma because a lot of people are under judgment. They're trying to blame other people for their situations, when it's truly they are the ones that put them where they are. But right now, people are running from their karma. They're running from their judgment. So they're trying to, it's like a blame stage right now. But it's getting to a point where you're not going to be able to blame nobody else but yourself. You created this life for you. You created this, and this is what the bounce back is, good and bad. Those that are receiving good karma are being looked at like, oh, they've got to be doing something. They did. No. I'll take myself, for example. I got people that think I do this and do that. No, I work hard. I work for everything that I have. Ain't shit been given to me. Nothing has been given to me. Okay? And people just don't want to believe it. I knew when to shut it down and focus and take care of my business. All right? Because you didn't. That's not my fault. Okay? I've even had dreams of my own family members trying to put me in a grave before. It's just silly. People just, it's sad. I actually yesterday, I was sitting at my desk at work, and I saw this brown melanated hand, this fist, coming at my face like this. And I just sat at my desk and chuckled. I said, oh, somebody mad at me. I don't even know why, because I don't bother nobody. I don't even talk to nobody. But, that, and people hate you for that too. When you cut them off, they don't like that either. But it's because I see things. I see people doing things in my sleep. I see people trying to do things to me and my kids. I've seen people try to do spell work on me. It's crazy. You know, I see things. So, you know, if I cut you off, it's because I saw you. I saw your heart. I saw what your true intentions was. And I did what I had to do. But I said, oh, so somebody is mad at me for whatever reason. Somebody's trying to punch me in the face. But I'm like, well, how? Oh, somebody probably got a voodoo doll out here. Somebody got a voodoo doll out here, and they was punching me in the face yesterday. I was like, oh, somebody's really butthurt about some shit. I don't even know what. But either way, whoever that was, I just, you know, and if, I don't know, I just hope they get free from that and find peace. So anyway, so back to the gun thing, defending yourself through weapons. Ladies, rethink that, especially if you have kids. Save your money if you have to. But there's safe ways that you can get CCW classes. You know, do everything legally. Make sure you're within the legal parameters of your state, but do everything legally. Get your papers in order. Take your class. You know, I want to say, I'm not sure if it's like that in all states, but I know in Ohio, I want to say if you have a marijuana card, you can't get a CCW, I think. Decide what's important. What's more important to you, okay? Decide what's more important to you. All right? Get that CCW. Get your proper legal paperwork. Find you a good handgun or some, you know, that you can handle well, and get the proper locking for it, you know, for your home. And make sure it's clear. It's, you know, it's safe. If you have children in the home, there's safe ways to lock it. You know, just learn. Just as long as you're educated about what you're doing, you're fine. Educate yourself. Guns don't kill people. Stupid people with guns kill people. All right? But you never know when you may have to defend yourself, because I'm telling you, what's coming, what I saw in my dream state was like, you got to be kidding me. And only thing I'm going to say is it stems from the vaccine, okay? Those that are vaccinated as opposed to those that are unvaccinated. You know, it was not the government. It didn't seem like the government, I'm not sure, but it was just groups of different people that were like little militias going around finding people that had not been vaccinated. It's like they thought that the people that were not vaccinated were destroying the world, and they wanted to eliminate it. It was just crazy. It was just silly. So find safe ways, you know, learn your gun laws, find your safety ways of getting your CCW, find safe ways, learn how to handle it, go to the range, practice, you know, practice safely of how to, you know, lock it up in the home, especially if you have children, minors in the home. And make sure you have a good space to have it where you can access it easily. And just learn how to use it, and learn when to use it, and learn when you can use it when you are within your legal rights. Learn all of your rights of how it can be used so you don't get yourself into any trouble. Practice meditations so you know how to slow yourself down and think quickly. Okay? That's all I'm going to say about that part. It could be another year or two, but something else is coming, and you're going to have to be able to defend your family if you have to. Do not be caught unprepared. Get a couple of them if you have to. If you got to toss one and reload another one. But mothers, young women, I want you to rethink being afraid of them. When they're used properly and for their purpose, and you have the education you need, and you have your rights in order, you have the legal backing for everything you're doing, you're safe. Okay? Because that new world order is here. This is different. Life is different, and it's never going to go back to the way it was before the pandemic. So don't expect it to. All right. The age of Aquarius is already here. You see what's happening with Facebook. I already talked about this. The age of technology is here. And don't let the metaverse get you so distracted that you're not preparing for this other stuff, because we're not done. It's not done. It's not done. If you notice, ever since the coronavirus hit the United States, it's like we've been moving on a timeline. Okay? And the more and more we move into the age of Aquarius, the age of technology, the age of knowing. And the number one is knowing who you are. When you know who you are, you don't care about what nobody else is doing. You could care less. You know, people that's all focused on this and this and this is because these are people that don't know who they are. When you know who you are, you know what you're supposed to be doing. Know who you are. As the days go on, if you've noticed, people don't want to admit it, but I'm okay with the truth. The church is becoming more and more ineffective. All right? The coronavirus was teaching people to become self-sufficient in any way possible. Get your hustle together in case you have to leave your job. Those that are codependent and very dependent on people and things and programs, and you know, they're always going to be there, and we need to help those people, okay? But if you are in a situation where you could possibly get yourself to a point to stand on your own 2 feet as best as you can, do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. It's not over with. Okay? So, I don't know if I'll ever, you know, get the full clearance to share what I saw. But it was heavy. And, you know, and a lot of people, you know, spiritual people, we sometimes we see things we don't want to see. Like, we see things about situations and people we don't want to see, because some of that stuff is heavy. It's heavy having that on your mind. It's heavy watching a person talk to you and you really know, you know, you see things that they don't think you see. It's heavy. It's heartbreaking sometimes, you know. You know, people think they sliding through with certain things, but they don't know that you see them, you know. It's heavy. So a lot of things that's given to us by source, by our higher powers, our ancestors, some of it is not the easiest thing to know and to carry. You know, that's a heavy mantle. It really is. And so I kind of sympathize, not sympathize, but I empathize even more with the energy of the consciousness of Christ going through some things, you know. I see how people, instead of appreciating his power, they misjudged him and tried to kill him because of it. I get it. Egyptians, I understand Anubis' story now. I understand Medusa's story now. Medusa was not who people thought she was. She was a very beautiful person, but what happens, things happened to her. She was raped. She was misused. So, you know, when the snakes, she was cursed with those snakes, it was actually a protection mechanism, because men wanted to abuse her so much for her beauty. Instead of appreciating her beauty, they saw her beauty as a threat and tried to destroy her. And that was the only way she could protect herself. You know, I understand Confucius's walk now. You know, I see why Buddha separated himself from society. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I study religions, I study cultures, because I'm interested in that kind of stuff. You know, a lot of my ancestors come from certain backgrounds. I do have some occult knowledge too. You know, I like a self scholar. I just like to know. And people think because you know certain things, you doing certain. Let me tell you something. When you answer your spiritual call and you get into your purpose of why you were born, you don't have to do anything of black magic, manipulation, lying, stealing. You don't have to do those things. When you're in your purpose, you don't need that, because you're walking the line that was already set for you. So everything you need is already there. Just stay in your alignment. You don't have to struggle that much and grapple. And you know what I'm saying? When you're doing that, it's because you're out of alignment somewhere. When you are walking in your purpose and you're answering your spiritual calling from your ancestors and your God, whoever you answer to, if you're walking in the shoes that you was put on this earth to walk, you attract. You don't have to chase anything or anybody. And if anybody makes you feel like you got to chase them, that's how you really know they're not supposed to be there. Get rid of them. Okay? So, that was a little bit of a personal story. But the main thing to that is, if somebody comes to you and they tell you certain dreams and it's a warning, try to let your ego down and believe them, because it might be saving your life. And the second thing is, if you're watching this and you're judging me, I don't give a fuck. The third thing is, martial law is real. And if you think the United States could never be in that way of life, I want you to rethink that. And lastly, especially if you are a woman and you have children, rethink your positions on self-defense through weaponry, because you may need it. Okay? Just do everything legally and safely, and just know what you're doing. When you know better, you do better. All right? So I hope that helps somebody. You know, you don't have to be afraid. This is, you know, we are being called to be fearless right now. You don't have to be afraid to have weapons in your home, as long as you're doing it legally and you have had the proper education. You're safe. All right? So, y'all have a good one. Thanks for joining me again.